Hey there folks, Wrel here. Thought I'd share a quick comparison for one of the bases currently being revamped on PTS right now, that being TI Alloys. I'm not going to talk too much about the intricacies because I've tried to record audio on that like 3 times now, and the recordings all end up over 20 minutes, like sometimes upwards of 40 minutes. Plus the eastern building is being replaced with something new in the future, and that'll be more conducive for bigger population numbers. In fact, one of the reasons why TI Alloys is even being revamped in the first place is because it's one of the most fought at bases on Indar, right in the center of the map near Cerise, Hydroponics, and the Crown, and it has a handful of issues based on where it's located in the lattice and the buildings that it's using. It just kind of makes it difficult to take, and it can be griefed easily by vehicles and that sort of thing. The reason that the lattice placement isn't ideal is due in no small part to how the flow works when you're attacking from the west from a Latum Botany Wing. What ends up happening is that since the safest Sunderer location is actually in the ravine to the west of the base, players have to cross paths with the spawn room in order to actually get to the capture point. So what needed to happen was to encourage some better Sunderer locations and discourage the back and forth of the spawn room. In other words, you want to funnel players to that eastern side of the base and leave the western side as an area for defenders to pull vehicles from and, not too much else. A small plateau was raised on the western side of the base to help players defend from vehicles, as well as help deter attackers from attacking from that direction. There probably needs to be a harder separation still, but it's much different than it was on live. An outcropping of rock to the southern side of the base allows you to place a Sunderer safely, without fear of getting shelled from the ground, and it puts you within arm's reach of the capture point. There's still a little bit too much dead zone there at the moment for infantry trying to cross the road and reach the capture point, but we can add more cover to that. It's a pretty easy feat. Another Sunderer location has been placed just southeast of the base. This one has your rear end hanging out at the crown, but it's a good Sunderer location that's pretty close and covered if you happen to be attacking from the east. The rock bridge that most players still use is available still, and there's actually a little bit more cover to help you make the final push toward the eastern building as well. On the northern side of the base, the charge up the hill is actually pretty fun, but sometimes the flow gets directed toward the western side of the hill, which butts you up again with the spawn room, and it's just not desirable to do that. So some adjustments were made to the rock cropping protecting the western Sunderer spot, and the hill has become more impassable to help discourage attackers from going that direction in the first place. Another Sunderer spot was also added just east of the first Sunderer spot, but it's a little bit too close and will be moved over a bit to provide cover and have enough distance to actually deploy 2 Sunderers at once. And lastly, a couple rocks were added and adjusted to kind of give you some staging areas as you move up the hill, instead of it being an all or nothing attempt each time. The courtyard has been cleaned up a lot, and the spawn room has been downsized a bit. Not wholly satisfied with the layout here, but it's intended to give defenders a reasonable advantage if attackers are getting too campy. An SCU was also re-added to the base, though its position is going to be much revised when the new building is added. Again, didn't want to talk about the eastern building itself, even though it drastically was adjusted, removed some of the harsher angles that you have to deal with when pushing into those types of buildings, and it created some staging areas for players so that they aren't choked out at the doorways as often. There are definitely some fun concepts being explored there, and if you want to take a look around yourself, you can definitely jump onto the public test server right now, do some exploring. Later, I would like to give a more detailed look into why certain decisions are being made as far as design goes, but that won't likely be done until the second pass hits the PTS. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. And this video was just me trying to share some of the stuff that's being developed right now, so hopefully you enjoy this sort of thing. And let me know what you think about the currently in development TI Alloys in the comments section down below. Thanks very much, folks. Wrel signing off.